All righty. Okay, folks, good morning. Continue with the Mimer Hasidic discourse that the Rebbe said on the last day of Passover in 1979. Just like the days of your going out of Egypt, I will show you wonders in the final redemption. So we asked on this, then why is the language in plural form, the days of going out of Egypt, rather than, as the verse clearly says, that we went out on a day, the 15th of Nisan. Furthermore, we do have a verse that says in Deuteronomy, Yom Teis, Yom Teis L'Meretz Mitzrayim. Laman Tizkor, it's Yom Teis L'Meretz Mitzrayim. You should remember the day that you went out of Egypt, that day. So we explained like this. That the singular form versus a plural form. Singular form is the day that you went out of negativity. It's like, the day that you realized, you know, what a lie is and what the truth is. So there's a day, right? You remove yourself from that negativity. But to go into a good space, to come to, complete redemption on a personal level and a collective level, well, that's from the beginning of going out of Egypt until the final redemption of Mashiach, step by step. Um, and here, it's not enough to go out of your limitations, to go out of your negative limitations, but here you have to even go out of your limitations, your boundaries that are even positive ones, holy ones. Those are also limitations. Right? That's and therefore it's plural. That we're even going out of the limitations that are not negative ones. In other words, to not do evil is, that we all have our negativity. We all have things that trigger us. We all have things. And we could leave that, you know, and even that can be a process. It doesn't mean it's not a process. But in doing good, it's never ending. And how you could do things always better. That's plural. That's constant. There should be constant positive growth. Okay. So from what we've just explained, this more exalted form of going out of Egypt, right? As opposed to the simple idea that going out of Egypt right? A more exalted form of going out of Egypt than the simple idea of, Egypt is a wasteland, if you will. So in the time of exile that we're in right now, going out of Egypt, limitate out of our limitations, our boundaries, is greater than going out of the boundaries that was in times of the Holy Temple. And in times of exile itself, which has been, last 2,000 years almost, these days that we're on the heels of Mashiach, and especially we're in the last generation of Mashiach, the going out of Egypt becomes out of our own Egypt, out of our own limitations, becomes even more lofty. Because remember, we're progressing. We're not in the same spot in life. We're progressing. We're moving forward. Now, so to explain this idea that we're progressing, that every day we are refining more sparks that are hidden in ourselves, in the world, in the material world. And therefore, we get closer to the final redemption. This world has sparks of godliness in it. Our engagement with the world is to use the materiality of this world in a way that we uplift it, that we exalt it, that we take the spark of the divine that's in everything that's hidden and use it in a divine manner. And therefore, there's more refinement of the divine of the material world. That's in general, and in every single day, it's that way. Likewise. So we will merit then to very soon, literally, to the final redemption, as, which then we will go out of all the boundaries and limitations. Okay, to understand this further. Even though there's a concept, um, there's a concept that evil is the absence of good, darkness is the absence of light. God is only but good, which means that which is permanent, that which is eternal is good, and that which is evil is not permanent. It's not permanent, which means the collective good that we've done, throughout the generations doesn't go away because that spark of holiness, of divinity, is is eternal. The evil isn't. It fades away, so to speak, if you will. Right. Which means, we're kind of like building this mountain of godliness, of the sparks of godliness that have been, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago. They don't disperse. Their impact is still here. While the impact of evil is not eternal. It makes an impact only as a means to an end, but not as an end in itself. Where the good that we do, and this is what we're learning in Tanya, that gives us a clarity in this, has an eternal connection to us and to the world. That being said, the later generations, and specifically our generation, as we're the latest, right, generation in history, are is mainly by our divine service now at the end of Golus, at the end of exile. And we're going to understand this by first prefacing an explanation that the final redemption is going out of all boundaries and limitations, even the most lofty boundaries of limitation. What is this idea? So all this world and all the spiritual worlds are called in the name of Mitzrayim, of Egypt, meaning limitation, meaning that they are a limitation and what's the limitation is a hiddenness, a concealment. So he explains, for two reasons they're called Mitzrayim, all the worlds, spiritual worlds and this world. So because the worlds are limited, and as the word Mitzrayim means limitation, right? Boundaries. Right, so they're inherently limited, but they're also come from a hiddenness, a concealment of the divine. The hidden light of God is what creates this world. Okay? As is known, as is taught, in Eitz Chaim, this is taught, that the concealment of the first contraction, before God created the world, there was only but his infinite light, and he contracted upon it, that infinite light. That's called Tzimtzum Arisha, the first contraction. What did that do, that first contraction? It made a possibility, not yet a reality, but a possibility of worlds, spiritual worlds and this physical world, right? So what does it mean? How did it do that? Because God took his infinite light and concealed it. He removed it in a manner that it should not be palpable. It shouldn't be real, right? A hiddenness of this light completely. This is similar to Egypt in the negative sense, right? That's not a negative thing, what God did when he removes his infinite light, right? That's in order to make a possibility for creation to remove the infinite light. So in the negative sense in this world is Egypt right, is literally a concealment, right? Egypt of old, there was a concealment on godliness, literally. They were evil people. conceal God. So we can say there are three things when it comes to the world. One is world in a simple, obvious sense, which means space and time, right? That's the idea of a world, space and time. But the word world in Hebrew is olam. The word olam comes from the word helam. They're the same root word, ayin lamed mem. Helam means concealment. So that's a second idea about the world. It's not just space and time, but its content, its content is concealment. Also, the word olam, which is the root word ayin lamed mem, comes from olam, which means strength and power. Wow. So we have space and time, concealment, and power, all in the same concept, in the same idea of world. Interesting. Interesting. What's the connection between them? What's the connection between them? Is that the hiddenness of the world, which is time and space, that's a hiddenness, right? Is very powerful. Right. Well, hold on one second. Give me a moment. Okay, sorry. Let's finish off over here. Hmm. So God's hiddenness in time and space is very powerful. Okay, we're going to actually stop over here. Continue. It's interesting how the words in the Holy Tongue convey the idea. World, by definition, means space, time and space. The word world means, right, that's its boundary, that's its limitation. That boundary of time and space is hiddenness, concealment of the divine, and it's a very powerful concealment. That's the way God created the world that we got to deal with to bring out ultimately the divine spark, and that there is no hiddenness. There is a revelation, but we'll see where we're going. All right, we'll see you soon, folks. Around 9 o'clock for Chumash Rashi, maybe a bit before.